Beers with Chad. Hey everybody, what's up? Chad Wesley Smith here. Beers with Chad. Today I'm going to be showing you around my little office, but more so telling you about some people on our team and just kind of telling you the backstories of some of the people on our team. So I'm drinking Stone Die Hard Fan IPA. Cheers to you fine folks. So this is the little room where we film all our YouTube stuff. You may recognize that background from many of my videos. If you watched our most recent one where I talk a lot and Garrett stands there, and we're looking like we're doing our best Steve Jobs impersonation as we explain different parts of Juggernaut AI. We're standing in front of that TV. But mostly what I want to talk about are these people up on the wall. But I'll start with this guy over here. He may look familiar to you. This is a magazine spread that was in Muscle and Fitness in January 2011. Was one of the cooler experiences of my career, getting to be in such like a big, worldwide read and known magazine that so many people, I think of the particular age, grew up reading, and that it was maybe their first exposure to lifting. I got to be in there for the Juggernaut method. Thank you to my friend Bob Eilenfelt, who used to be the senior editor of Muscle and Fitness. You may know him as the Angry Coach. He wrote for Elite FTS for a number of years before passing away several years ago, probably about five years ago. But he created that opportunity for me. It was really cool. It was kind of funny to be in this bodybuilding magazine, as I'm certainly not a bodybuilder, but Bob was trying to get more powerlifting people in there. It was awkward for me trying to make tough faces like this, as that's just not really my personality. But you can see there I'm squatting 700 for 5, doing some box jumps when I was athletic, doing some deadlifts mostly just for the camera, pretending, just drinking shakes and all that kind of stuff. That's at the first Juggernaut gym, the OG Juggernaut gym, the Jugger Cave. It was a really cool spot. It was a lot of fun, to get to do that, and I know a lot of people found out about me and the Juggernaut method because of that. So thank you to Bob and to Muscle and Fitness. Here's my beer fridge. There's number one favorite beer, Alpine Duet. We got some brewery, Bottle Logic, Green Cheek, Offshore, or Offshoot, Abnormal, a Corona for Corona Mania. But let's get down to the real stuff. You see on this wall, I have all these canvas photos of Team Juggernaut lifters that I coach, that Max coaches. We have more of our sponsored team athletes than you see here, but these are the people who have been with the team longer. There'll be more additions, I'm sure, with other athletes getting put up there over the next months and years. But these are our longer serving juggernauts and juggernauts. So let me just go ahead and kind of tell you, maybe a story about each person here. So the first person up, him, that's me. That's me squatting my PR, 440 kilos, 970 pounds at the Pro Raw 7. We're in Frankston, Australia, which is about 45 minutes outside of Melbourne. Notice any Australians listening, I hope you appreciate that proper pronunciation of Melbourne, not Melbourne. But yeah, I got to compete in Australia on 4 different occasions. 2014 GPA Worlds in 2014 GPA Worlds in Sydney. Then this was 2015 at Pro Raw 7. Then I did Pro Raw 8 a couple months after that at the Arnold Australia in Melbourne. And then the 2016 Big Dogs 1. Great people over there. Emad, Marcos, my man Spiros in the background. A lot of fun to compete there. Next up, we've got Alyssa Ritchie. Alyssa I have known since, probably 2014. Came to know her through just, mutual weightlifting acquaintances when she used to just be this crazy CrossFitter that would show up to weightlifting meets and lift. And some of you very avid fans may have heard Max and I tell the story of Max and Alyssa's first meeting, which was at the 2014 American Open in Washington, D.C. And Alyssa, she was a CrossFitter who did weightlifting meets, but it was, she was not a weightlifter by any stretch of the imagination. So she shows up there and she's like, Chad, I don't have anyone to count for me in the back. And I'm not a weightlifting coach. I can't count for her in the back. So I was like, all right, Max and Joanne, they can do it for you. And this, late 2014, I didn't know Max and Joanne that well either. This was really a thing of, I knew them from powerlifting meets. So when I would get to weightlifting meets, Max and Joanne were my safe space. I was like, oh, it's the powerlifters. I can talk to them. They know me. So I introduced Alyssa to Max and Joe, and they were asking like, oh, well, what can what do you want your openers to be? What do you want your warm-ups to, how do you want your warm-ups to go? And she's saying it all in pounds. And for real weightlifters, that's like a very taboo. And she's saying it in pounds and doesn't have a good grasp on some of it either, because she'd had a shoulder injury, and that shoulder injury was precluding her from having done any jerks in months leading up to this. And if you know Alyssa Ritchie as a weightlifter, she is probably the best jerker in all of America. She's done 120 kilos from the blocks, which is 4 kilos above the weight class, above the world record in her weight class. So after a short conversation of figuring out how Max and Joe are going to coach her the next day, she walks away, and I say to them, I said, she doesn't know what kilos are. Like, she doesn't understand how much weight that is. So just put it on the bar and she'll try and lift it. And she went on to get, I think, third at that meet, second in the clean and jerk, made a lifetime PR clean and jerk. As I said, hadn't done jerks for months. So it was definitely a great tribute to the competitor that Alyssa is. Next up, here we have Alexandra LaChance. So this would be at 2018 Nationals, I think. Yeah, 2018 Nationals. So Alex joined the team in January of 2018. I'd known of Alex as a CrossFitter because, like, right when she started CrossFit, she went and won regionals, maybe her first or second year as a CrossFitter, and had been with another team. I think she was being coached by Dave Fleming, Jared Fleming's dad, Outlaw Barbell or something like that before. And she was friends with Q, because through CrossFit stuff, she knew Q and Alyssa, who were both on the team at that time. So right after 2017 American Open, she made the switch over to our team. She's just super hard worker, very, very talented athlete, great gymnast in the past, great CrossFitter. Really just happy to have Alex on the team. She's one of the few athletes who actually is coached or lives where one of the coaches lives. She coaches at Max's gym now in Oakland, California. So she sees Max and Joe not on a daily basis, but at least on a multiple times a week basis. And she's just made great progress. The first time I was seeing her lift, either like at this meet or the Arnold 2018 Arnold, she would have such a hard time standing up clean. So it's something that Alyssa has struggled with too. And now, she was like, I think Alex said when she started lifting with Juggernaut, her best clean was like 110, maybe 108, or I think it was 108, and her best front squat was 110. And now I see her stand up, 128 kilo clean, no problem. So she's just made awesome progress, and really happy to have her as part of the team. Next up, we have Joanne Ada. This is at the 2018 Arnold. See, she's deadlifting 172.5 kilos there, 380 pounds. She's now done 180 kilos, 396 pounds. She has, I think, all of the masters records in the 57 kilo class. As a weightlifter, she has all the American and world records in her, would have been a 58 kilo class when she was still doing weightlifting. But I've known Jo through powerlifting probably since 2013, doing meets up there at Super Training. Jo's just awesome. There's very few, I call her the punk rock Sailor Moon. You can totally tell me that doesn't embody punk rock Sailor Moon right there. The pigtails, the tattoos. Jo is just so unique. And even though she frustrates me sometimes to coach her because she asks a lot of questions and warms up for too long, I love Jo. And always, happy to have her on the team and as a friend. And it's been cool to go to Worlds with her twice. And Jo is just all in on anything she does, whether that was, weightlifting and now powerlifting and coaching, or, medal. Jo is all in, and that's a quality that I appreciate. Now here is my favorite team member and my favorite picture. So that's Marissa with me in the background at the 2017 Arnold, the first Grand Prix that was on the Rogue stage. And she's coming out there to deadlift 187.5 kilos, which will secure her what was then the all-time total world record in the 52 kilo class. That gave her a 430 kilo total. So I said you can see we're both getting pretty fired up there. If you know my personality, I'm not that fired up. But that's about as excited. I think I get more excited for her good lifting than I ever did for my good lifting, though the official Lynn Homan in the background there is not quite as excited as we are. But that meet is one of my favorite memories. That, and then a few months after that, winning the world championship in a big comeback fashion. So Marissa and I have been together for 7 years, kind of on and off at some parts, but for 7 years. The Arnold's sort of always a special time because we have that memory of the world record, of working in booths, of competing, of breaking world records, of breaking American records, of all that stuff. And we met or started talking shortly after the Arnold in 2013. So yeah, that one's definitely a special one. And we got our man Anthony Pomponio here, Pomp, most jacked weightlifter. I mean, look at that tricep. Look at those arms. So I first met Pomp probably in 2014. What's Pomp lifting there? That's 154. 159? Is that 159? Snatching 159 kilos? 120, 150, 155? Yeah, 159 kilo snatch there for Pomp. That's probably 2015 Nationals in Dallas where he won national championship. But yeah, I've known Pomp for a number of years. If anyone who knows Pomp, he's like the nicest guy, full of energy, awesome. Go follow him. See all the cool stuff he's doing now as a dad with his boy Rocco, and Rocco is just as fired up as could be. If there's ever a 3-year-old, happy birthday Rocco, his 3rd birthday today. If there's ever been a 3-year-old meathead, it's Rocco Pomponio. And he's Bam Bam from the Flintstones. But I first met Pomp up seeing the American Barbell Factory up in Paso Robles, and just instantly clicked over playing football and lifting hard, and yeah, Pomp's just the man. Got to know him better when he was living at the OTC, and then he was the first weightlifter to move here in Southern California, when Max became the coach of Team Juggernaut, we had resident weightlifters. Pomp was the first one here, so we were, spend every day together, and he's just been a great guy to know, and to watch him go from sort of an Olympic hopeful to now a dad, more transitioning to the coaching phase of his career. Pomp's just a great guy and a lover of fine craft beers. All right, next up we have Janice Okamoto. So there's Janice. I don't know what meet this is off the top of my head. Probably an AO series meet. But Janice has been on the team since about October 2017, and I first met Janice a bit earlier in 2017, probably March or so in 2017, and she came to the gym just for like a drop in, and it was must have been 2016 actually, because she came to the gym on the day that Max and I had just filmed the Commando video, infamous Commando video. I'm not sure if she would have wanted to be on the team had she been there for the entire filming of that, but she is anyways. And her first experience on the team was, she had been at a clinic up in Santa Barbara that Max and JP were coaching, and they sort of picked her out from that, like, oh man, this girl is very talented, she could be on the team. So we were having a team training camp in Park City, Utah, a couple weeks later, and our team is spread out all over the country. The people I've shown you so far are Southern California, Ohio, Northern California, Southern California, Southern California, but as I go, there's Florida, Kansas, Massachusetts, Nevada, Idaho, Iowa, all over the place. So Janice was going to come to this training camp, and the entire time that we're in Utah, she thinks that it's all like a joke. We're just playing a huge practical joke on her, and it can't be real. And I probably didn't help that, because once I knew that she thought that it was all a big practical joke on her, when we were picking her up from the airport, like as she tried to get into the rental car, I started to drive away, like laughing out the roll down window. But Janice is such a great addition to the team, such a great person, so selfless. What sums up Janice Okamoto as a person is that at the 2018 Arnold, where she was competing, Alyssa was competing, Q was competing, Alex was competing, she, one of the things that Janice does is make singlets. And she used to be a ice skater, so she started making ice skating costumes. And then once she got into weightlifting, started making weightlifting singlets. So she had made these awesome custom singlets for Alyssa and Q. And as Janice is riding to her own weigh-in at like 6 a.m. to lift, she is finishing sewing Q's singlet for Q to compete the next day. That sums up Janice, is that even when she should be only concerned about herself and her own competition, she's still looking to take care of other people. So Janice is awesome. Next up, this is from 2019 American Open. This is David Garcia. See Max and Joe in the background of so many of these. So Garce is, I've known Garce probably since 2015. Maybe early 2015. For sure knew him at 2015 Arnold, 2015 Nationals. So Garce has been weightlifting for a long time. I want to say 15 years. And has dealt with a lot of injuries in his career. He's now coming off, he's two years removed from like a very extensive experimental knee surgery, but back lifting awesome. He just deficit snatched 160 kilos last week, and Garce is just amazingly strong. He definitely, many of my memories with Garce are these like, holy shit, Max and I looking at each other like, did he just do that? The first big weightlifting camp we had at Juggernaut, Garce went and clean pulled 240 kilos to about, above his belly button, and that's like high enough to clean it. And he was heavier then. He was, probably 110 kilos or so. He competes as a 96 now, but brutally strong guy, pulling, squatting, and just the nicest dude ever. Plus, he looks so much like David Schwimmer or Alec Baldwin or Andy Garcia. Take your pick. It's a constant topic of debate. Here we have Maddie Forberg. So Maddie's been on the team. I've been coaching Maddie since early 2018. I first met her, I think, at a clinic I did in 2017 in Chicago, when she was probably 19 or 20 years old. And she was just very enthusiastic about learning and about learning how to train, or how to lift, how to program better. And Maddie's as sweet as could be. She's always, eager to help the team to learn and grow as a lifter. She's actually working for Juggernaut now the title is Director of Branding, helping out with apparel. And that's something I wanted her to do because, I just feel like she's very ambitious, self-starter. So, very, very happy to have Maddie as an athlete and on the team. Next up, this is a great moment here. That is Sakasia Johnson, right after she snatched then American record of 109 kilos. So that was a few months ago at the American Open Finals in Salt Lake City. So she broke Q, who I'll get to in a little bit, Q's American record in the snatch. And Sakasia's been on the team not too long, just since March of 2019, but had come to some team camps before that. And my favorite memory of Sakasia, so Sakasia had lost her left eye as a child in an accident, running with a fork, and fell and forked herself in the eye. So she's got one eye, and she's got a glass eye that she never really wears. But when she came to this first team camp, I didn't feel comfortable asking her, like, well, so what's the story with the eye? I didn't feel comfortable asking her that until we're all sitting around having dinner one night, and this camp was up in Oakland, and everyone, especially the people traveling from the Midwest, are a little bit like, I don't know, Oakland's a little bit different. It's a little bit different than Kansas and Iowa. So she's talking about, walking down the street and all the girls on our team, we, not unintentionally have a lot of beautiful women who lift for us. And she's talking about, oh yeah, these guys are trying to talk to us. And she's like, yeah, she's like, this guy thought I was winking at him. And I fucking lost it so hard when she said this guy thought that she was trying to wink at him because she's only got one eye. So at that point I knew, I was like, oh, Kasia's cool, she's funny, she's just very goofy personality, great lifter, so strong. The way she stands up her cleans and the bar is just flexing on the way up. She's standing it up with so much power. I'm very excited to see the next quad as we go towards the 2024 Olympics, and Sakasia can take a real shot at making that team because she's incredibly talented, and she's put 12 kilos on her total since Max began coaching her in March. So I can't wait to see how she continues to improve over the next 4 years. So here we have Megan Scanlon. So Meg Scanlon, I'd probably met her at, let's say 2016. Yeah, I think probably met her at the 2016 USAPL Nationals, which were in Orlando, or 2017 USAPL Nationals in Orlando. And Meg was a 63 then, and she was lifting against Kristen, and we're like, anyone on our team can tell you that I love our team and I hate everyone else. Everyone else is the enemy. There are people that I actually like, and I'll like them after the meet, and I can like them, I would say before the meet, but that's not true. Maybe I like them after the meet, after we beat them. But before the meet and during the meet, I fucking hate everyone else. I only like our team, everyone else is the enemy. So I'm looking at this girl, I was like, this fucking short leg bitch, she's, she can only squat, she can't deadlift for shit, fuck her. And anyways, she's so nice and bubbly anyways, it was hard to hate her too much, but we beat her, so that was okay. So then fast forward a couple months, but definitely saw in that moment, like, wow, she's very, very talented, and would make particularly a good weightlifter because of her incredibly stumpy body. So fast forward a couple months, and I had seen that she'd been training a little bit of weightlifting. So I run into her in the back at the Arnold, and I'm asking her, I was like, so you're trying to do weightlifting too? I was like, how's that going? She's like, well, it's tough, I've got a weightlifting coach and I've got a powerlifting coach, and that is two different things. And I stopped her, I was like, hey, you need to have Max coach you. I said, he is the only person to coach you in weightlifting and powerlifting combined, aka super total. So connected them, so, got her contact info, connected her and Max in early 2018, and the rest is history. Now she's going to nationals as a weightlifter, she's breaking IPF world records as a powerlifter, and Meg is just the bubbliest, most energetic, smiley person, whether, she lives in Boston, and her husband, Brian's awesome guy, I love hanging out with him at meets. But she will, fly a red eye out here to California for some kind of team event, and hasn't slept more than an hour of shitty sleep on an airplane, and she's in a great mood, and she trains all day and like all day. When you're doing super tall and you're as strong as her, it takes a ton of training. She's got a great capacity for training because of her marathon background. But love having Meg on the team. Love hanging out with Meg. She's just a ton of fun. I could not be more thankful for her. All right, a couple more here. All right, so here we have Kiana Welch. Max getting excited in the background there. So Q, that's the American record in the 75 kilo class, 100 and, 108 kilos. Yeah, 108 kilos there for Q. Q, there is no one who has ever met Kiana Welch and doesn't love her. She's just so sweet and funny, and I remember when she used to come down for training camps, like everyone in the gym, men and women, would just like stop and stare at her because she's just statuesque, gorgeous girl. Plus she had like different hair every day because she's wearing wigs all the time. So that was a really special moment to see Q break that record after having a couple really close misses at it. It's probably the most excited I've ever seen Max get. So I first met Q through Grid League, which is sort of a team CrossFit type of thing. And I visited while they were gridding out in Utah, and met her, and I knew that Grid was going to go under. Everyone knew Grid was going to go under, and I was like, hey, you should be a weightlifter. You want to be a weightlifter. And maybe I'd met her one time before that, so it was cool for her to trust me and take that risk. And now, I've set an American record, to have won national medals, to have won American Open, and to now be an employee of Juggernaut. She's our director of customer service, so she's answering questions for you a lot if you're an AI user, that kind of thing. And Q's just awesome. Her son, Langston, the cutest kid ever. So love Q. Everyone loves Q. She's been on the team for several years. Alex, really came to the team through Q, so she's just been a great part of things. Here is Christy Brewer at 2018 Nationals in Kansas. That's 111 kilos. So Christy, we call the Bulldog. She is a master of disaster, like Joanne Ada. Christy has all the Masters world records, And Christy is so remarkable in that if she was just as good a lifter as she is, people would say, "Wow, that's amazing." She's a great lifter. Like, she was an alternate for senior Pan Am team this year. And if that's all it was, that would be great. But when you put on top of it that Christy is 38, I think going on 39 this year, competing against girls, 10, 15, 20 years younger than her, and beating them is awesome. When you take into account that she is a mother of two, even more incredible, that one of those two is a special needs child with nonverbal autism and everything that comes along with that, of PT, speech therapy, occupational therapy, everything that Christy does with that. Christy is just a remarkable mother, remarkable athlete, remarkable person. Very thankful to have her on the team. Now we got this grizzly of a man with me looking on in the background there. I've known Brandon Allen since 2016. I've known of him, though, much longer than that, because he played college football, junior college football, right down the street from where I live at Orange Coast College, and played with a couple guys I coached. And I remember going to the games and being like, who the fuck is that guy? Because he was playing fullback and was probably 245 or 250 pounds and so jacked you could see the veins in his forearms from the stands. And that was the first time I remember hearing the name Brandon Allen. And then I got to meet him at USPA Nationals, I think a few years later, probably 2015 or 2016, maybe more like 2014, because this is when I was still strong, and connected and started coaching him, and I remember when I first started coaching him, it was such a change from his previous style of training that he was actually asking other guys I coached, asking like Kevin Torres and Jake Johns, he would be texting them and be like, is this the kind of stuff that you guys do? Like, is Chad trying to sabotage me? Like, what is this? Because the idea of building up some fatigue and then decaying that later wasn't really a familiar concept to him. So he was just feeling like shit, but it all paid off as he went on to make his first 2,300 pound total at my first meet coaching him. He's since gone on to total over 1,100 kilos, making him the strongest lifter I've coached. He revels in the times when he has beaten me at something or surpassed numbers that I've done. Been struggling with some injuries. He had a torn quad, and then he got hit by a car riding his motorcycle. But Brandon's just a funny, ridiculous person. His wife Jenny is great. Brandon's always definitely good for a laugh. Definitely his own guy, his own style. Here we have James Townsend. This is another picture from 2018 Nationals. So James is snatching 141 there. So James Townsend, I first met, I bet in 2014 at like a CrossFit powerlifting meet. So a non-sanctioned powerlifting meet that was just like to reach out to the CrossFit community. And I was the judge of this meet, and the only judge. I judged all the lifts just from the front, which actually wasn't that hard. But most of the lifters there sucked. And then there was James Townsend, who benched like 420 and deadlifted 650 while wearing weightlifting shoes, and just looks like an X-Man. And I'm like, talked to this guy after, and I was like, all right, buddy, like, who are you? What are you doing? And for a while he was still trying to chase CrossFit. And when your body is only fast twitch muscle fibers, CrossFit's not the sport for you. And James is the fastest twitch person I've ever encountered. That includes all the NFL players I've worked with, all the Olympians I've worked with, sprinters, throwers, whatever. James is the most powerful person I have ever seen. Whether that's 150 kilo hang power snatch, 193 kilo power cleans, 63-inch box jumps, 11.5-foot broad jumps, all that stuff. And to think that he still does that shit at 35 years old, and he can do it anytime. Perfect James Townsend story is about 1.5 years ago, James went into the hospital with sepsis. He got an infection through a broken tooth, and he almost died. I mean, it was a real touch and go situation. He's in the hospital for over 2 weeks with that, bedridden. After almost dying of sepsis, after not walking for 2 weeks, James's first workout, he was power cleaning 160 kilos, 352 pounds. That is James Townsend. James is awesome. His wife, Amy, is incredible. Their daughters, Perseus and Freya, are just the cutest girls, the most amazingly focused, driven, attentive, incredible kids. They stayed with me last summer, and I remember Freya coming out in the morning and being like, you know, for breakfast, she's like, I want a popsicle. And I was like, I have to give this little girl whatever she wants. She's the cutest thing ever. Of course you can have a popsicle for breakfast, but I had to double check with James and Amy if that was okay, popsicles for breakfast. But James is a great asset to the team. He's so supportive of everyone. He's so incredibly talented. I mean, last week in one day, he power snatched 325 pounds and then benched 330 for 10. And, you know, the amount of people that can do that in the world, you're probably counting on one hand. The amount of people that can do that in the world that are 35, that weigh under 200 pounds, that, you know, are drug-free, competing in USA weightlifting meets without a competition, all around year drug testing and stuff. That number of people you can count on one finger. James Townsend's the only one. He's an incredible athlete. I'm excited to see him compete in powerlifting this year. He is, you know, the superest of super totalers. We have the male and female super total king and queen in James and Meg Scanlon. All right, here is Kristen Dunsmore. So known Chris probably since 2015, maybe 2015 or so. Helped her rehab some back stuff as I'd gone through that as well. Since then, she moved out to California, worked at our gym, has become a coach. I've gotten to coach her to a national championship, gotten to coach her at Worlds, American record in the squat. Very, very talented athlete. If she's listening to this, which she probably isn't, but very frustrating to me at times, as Marissa and I serve as her California parents, and she doesn't always follow our parental advice. But Chris is very, very talented. I'm excited to see her put her great talents to work as she, improves her focus as a lifter, as a coach, everything. But always happy to have Chris on the team. And then last up here, we have that huge Asian guy, Andy Huang. That's me and Andy as he's about to go out for his last deadlift at 2018 US Open, where he pulled a PR 850 pounds. Andy first came to me as just a regular online client. Just a guy who signed up for coaching, I think who had totaled about 1,700, high 1,700, low 1,800, and now is totaled over 2,200, is a coach for Juggernaut, moved to Southern California a couple of years ago, so got to know him a lot better as we spend more time together there. Just a hard-working dude. And cool to have someone who just started as a regular client turn into, this big time, very well known lifter. So that's the team. There'll be more pictures added as we have, a lot more talented athletes on the team. They just kind of got to be on the team a little bit longer, and then I have to remember to get pictures of them. So this was Beers with Chad. Hopefully you enjoyed learning a little bit more about some of our team members. Again, I was drinking Stone Die Hard Fan IPA. Check out jtsstrength.com for all of our online coaching stuff, for apparel like the Juggernaut Jiu-Jitsu Club shirt. Who would win in the epic battle of gorilla versus bear? You can use JTS10 to save from virus, JUGGLIFE to save on Roan and CWS. when you sign up for the RP Diet app. Cheers.